Aquarius, before anything else happens in your life, pause with me just for a moment. There is a reason why things feel quietly blocked right now. Not chaotic, not dramatic, just stuck. And it's not your timing, it's not your effort, it's not your worth. It's a person standing too close to your energy. Someone who feels familiar, magnetic, yet unfinished. The closer you lean in, the heavier your future feels. This message isn't here to scare you. It's here to protect you before one choice quietly changes the direction of everything. Speech balloon, if this already feels personal, type "I'm listening" in the comments. And stay right here, because what you're about to hear next will explain why this connection appeared and what it's blocking from reaching you. Aquarius, stay with me a little longer. I'm not speaking to the world right now, I'm speaking to you. One Aquarius, the one who feels things before they make sense. There's a reason you've been more observant lately, quieter, as if part of you stepped back and started watching your own life from a distance, not judging it, just noticing the subtle shifts, the pauses that linger too long, the moments where your chest tightens for no obvious reason. You don't talk about that part much. You're used to being the steady one, the rational one. But lately, even your logic has been asking softer questions, questions that don't demand answers, only honesty. You may have told yourself everything is fine, that nothing is really wrong. And in a way, that's true. Nothing is exploding. Nothing is falling apart. Yet something inside you keeps whispering, this isn't flowing. And for someone like you, flow is everything. You're ruled by air, Aquarius. You're meant to move freely, to breathe life into ideas, futures, possibilities. So when your energy feels contained, narrowed, or quietly restricted, it's not random. It's information. Sometimes the universe doesn't shout. Sometimes it simply stops pushing and waits to see if you notice. What you're sensing isn't about blame. It isn't about right or wrong. It's about resonance. There are people who enter our lives like open doors, and there are people who enter like beautiful rooms with locked windows. At first, they feel warm, intimate, safe, until you realize the air inside doesn't move. You may have felt this in small ways. A hesitation before sharing good news. A quiet pullback when you think about your future. A subtle exhaustion that shows up after being close, even when nothing bad happened. Let me ask you something gently. When you imagine the next version of your life, do they expand that vision or do they make it feel smaller? Aquarius, you are not meant to shrink to stay connected. You are meant to evolve. And sometimes, evolution begins with discomfort. With the courage to admit that something feels heavy even when it looks fine. With the maturity to pause before stepping deeper into a bond that hasn't fully revealed itself. This isn't a punishment, it's refinement. At this stage of your life, connections aren't just emotional experiences. They are energetic agreements. They influence your clarity, your momentum, your peace. You're learning to listen not only to what people say, but to what your body does around them. To the way your spirit responds in their presence. That awareness didn't come from nowhere. It came from growth, from lessons you've already survived, from versions of yourself who stayed too long, hoping understanding would fix everything. You don't need to repeat that chapter. There is nothing wrong with wanting depth. But depth without clarity can quietly drain even the strongest soul. So stay here with me. Breathe into this awareness. Because the more honest you are with yourself in this moment, the clearer the next step becomes. And what comes next will reveal why this pause appeared exactly when it did. Aquarius, I want you to notice something gently now, not with your mind, with your body. With that quiet awareness you carry when no one is watching. There has been a strange slowing lately, not enough to alarm you. Just enough to make you pause in the doorway of your own life. Moments where time stretches, where decisions feel heavier than they should, where movement requires more effort than before. And the curious part is this. When your attention returns fully to yourself, things breathe again. But the moment your thoughts drift back to them, everything seems to lose traction. You are not imagining that. For someone like you, forward motion is usually instinctive. You are future-oriented by nature. You think in possibilities, in what could exist beyond the horizon. So when your inner current slows without a clear reason, it is often because something unseen is asking to be examined. This is how resistance works. It does not arrive with noise. It arrives with delay. Emails that sit unanswered. Plans that never quite land. A feeling that something is pending even when nothing is officially wrong. And here is where I want to speak to you as a friend, not as a voice giving instructions. Sometimes life slows us down not to stop us, but to protect us from attaching our future to something that has not yet made peace with its past. You may have felt this as a low-level tension, a subtle pressure behind the eyes, a tiredness that shows up after conversations that seem normal on the surface. Nothing dramatic, just enough to make your system whisper, pay attention. Let me ask you something softly. When you imagine stepping fully into this connection, does your breath deepen or does it shorten? Your body already knows the answer. Aquarius, there is a difference between patience and self-abandonment, between understanding and over-accommodating. At this stage of your life, your energy is too refined to be poured into uncertainty. You have earned discernment, not through cynicism, but through experience. There is wisdom in the way you hesitate now. This is not fear holding you back. It is intelligence asking you to slow your pace until clarity catches up. Sometimes the universe creates friction because it is easier than watching you walk into something that would cost you momentum later. This pause is not here to frustrate you. It is here to give you a moment of choice. You are learning to recognize when a connection aligns with your expansion and when it quietly negotiates against it. That awareness did not exist in earlier chapters of your life. You would have pushed forward. You would have explained the discomfort away. You would have trusted potential over evidence. You do not live that way anymore. So if things feel suspended right now, let that suspension work for you. Let it reveal what rush would hide. What if this slowdown is not a problem to solve, but a message designed to arrive exactly at this moment? What if your life is not resisting you, but guiding you back into alignment with yourself? Stay present with that question. Because once you see why the momentum shifted, the path forward will not need to be forced. It will open on its own. Aquarius, there is a quiet honesty in what your energy has already picked up. It is the feeling that someone can be close to you, yet not fully present. Like a room with the lights on, but one window still boarded shut. This person shows up, they listen, they may even care in their own way, and yet something about them never fully arrives. You feel it in the pauses, in what does not get said, in the way certain subjects float past like clouds they refuse to name. They are not unavailable in the obvious sense. They are unavailable in a subtler way. Their heart is still tied to an unfinished chapter, not necessarily a person alone. Sometimes it is a responsibility. Sometimes it is a promise made long ago. Sometimes it is a truth that would rearrange their entire life if spoken aloud. And so they choose quiet instead. Silence can be gentle, but it can also be heavy. It can sit between two people like unspoken weather, slowly changing the atmosphere without a single word. For you, Aquarius, silence speaks loudly. Your mind may try to give it the benefit of the doubt, but your nervous system already understands the cost. You are a sign that values freedom, but not at the expense of honesty. You can handle complexity. You can hold space for healing. What drains you is ambiguity that never resolves. There is something important to hear here. When someone has not completed their past, they borrow energy from the present. They lean without realizing it. They take more than they offer, not because they intend harm, but because they are still standing in two timelines at once. You may notice that after being with them, you feel slightly dimmer. Not broken, just less like yourself. This is not because you are giving too much. It is because you are attuning to someone who cannot yet meet you in the now. Aquarius, you are not here to rescue anyone from their unfinished story. You are here to walk alongside someone who has already closed their doors with care, so they can open new ones with integrity. Let me say this softly. People who are not free often gravitate toward light. They do not always know how to hold it. And that does not make them bad. It simply makes them not ready. Your compassion is one of your greatest gifts. But compassion without boundaries becomes self-erasure. And you have already lived that lesson in other forms. Here is the question I want you to sit with tonight. If this person never changes, if their silence remains exactly as it is, does your future still feel expansive? Do not answer quickly. Let the question breathe, because the universe is not asking you to judge them. It is asking you to choose yourself without guilt. You are allowed to want clarity. You are allowed to need presence. You are allowed to step away from stories that are still unfinished. When you do, something remarkable happens. Your energy stops compensating. Your light stops negotiating. And the path that felt blocked begins to recognize you again. Stay here with yourself a moment longer. There is more clarity coming. And it will feel like relief, not loss. Aquarius, there is a softness in this moment that feels almost comforting. That sense of recognition, like walking into a room you have been in before, even though you promised yourself you would never return. It feels familiar because your soul remembers the rhythm. You know how this goes. You know the pauses. You know how to make space. How to be patient without being asked. How to understand without needing explanations. You slip into that role so naturally. The steady presence. The calm listener. The one who waits without making noise. And for a while, it almost feels like love. Because familiarity can wear the same face. But listen closely. There is a deeper awareness rising in you now. A quiet voice that does not accuse, does not shame, does not rush. It simply asks you to notice the pattern. This is not connection unfolding. This is repetition circling back. The same emotional geometry, different face. Same distance. You are not here by accident. But this is not destiny either. Sometimes the universe does not send new people. It sends the same lesson in a new form. To see if you are still willing to abandon yourself for the comfort of being needed. And Aquarius, that is a hard truth to sit with. Because you are generous by nature. You see potential where others see limits. You believe love can be a bridge. But here is what most people never tell you. Healing is not proven by how much you can endure. Growth is proven by what you no longer chase. Ask yourself this gently. When you feel drawn to someone unfinished, what part of you lights up? Is it compassion? Or is it familiarity? Is it love? Or is it the echo of an old version of yourself that learned early how to wait? There was a time when waiting kept you safe. When understanding others felt like survival. When staying quiet felt easier than asking for more. That version of you did the best they could. But you are not that person anymore. The repetition you feel now is not punishment. It is an invitation. An invitation to choose presence over potential. Truth over hope. Reciprocity over patience. This connection is asking you a question it cannot answer for you. Will you continue to confuse emotional familiarity with alignment? Or will you allow yourself something new? Something steady? Something clear? There is nothing wrong with you for being drawn here. Patterns do not disappear through force. They dissolve through awareness. And awareness is already here. Notice how your body feels when you imagine staying. Then notice how it feels when you imagine stepping away. One of those images carries expansion. The other carries history. Which one feels like the future? You are not being asked to reject love. You are being asked to redefine it. Because love does not require you to shrink. Love does not ask you to wait in silence. Love does not repeat lessons you have already mastered. Sit with that truth for a moment. Let it settle without urgency. There is more clarity ahead. And it does not arrive with drama. It arrives with calm. A calm that feels unfamiliar at first, but deeply right. Stay with me. The next realization will feel like a release you did not know you were allowed to have. Aquarius, take a slow breath with me here. There is a quieter energy now, not dramatic, not loud, just honest. When a connection begins to pull from you without replenishing you, it does not announce itself as danger. It arrives softly, disguised as empathy, as patience, as understanding. At first, you barely notice the shift. You wake up a little more tired. Your thoughts feel less sharp. Decisions that once felt clear begin to blur at the edges. Not because you are weak, but because you are absorbing something that does not belong to you. You are deeply perceptive, Aquarius. Your nervous system reads rooms before words are spoken. So when someone carries unresolved weight, you feel it in your body before your mind catches up. You call it caring. You call it loyalty. But slowly, it becomes emotional labor you never agreed to. There is a subtle erosion that happens when you stay too close to unfinished energy. Your intuition starts working overtime. Your heart stays open while your boundaries grow thin. And no one is doing this to you on purpose. That is the hardest part. This is not about blame. It is about consequence. Unresolved lives have gravity. They pull, they lean, they spill. And because you are capable, because you are calm, because you know how to hold space, you become the container. You start carrying moods that are not yours. Confusion that did not originate in you. Delays that mirror their inner chaos. Have you felt that strange sense of emotional fog lately? Like you are present, but not fully anchored. Like your inner voice is quieter than usual. That is not coincidence. When you ignore what your awareness is whispering, your body begins to speak louder. Fatigue. Irritation without a clear source. A subtle loss of confidence that feels unfamiliar. This is what happens when your energy is redirected towards stabilizing someone else's unresolved world. You were not meant to be a bridge forever. You were meant to arrive somewhere too. And yet, there is compassion here. For you. For them. Because people who are unfinished are not bad people. They are simply not ready to walk beside you without pulling you backward. Ask yourself this gently. When you imagine continuing down this path, do you feel expansion? Or do you feel responsibility? One of those feelings nourishes the soul. The other slowly empties it. You are not meant to sacrifice clarity for connection. You are not meant to dim your future to make someone else feel less lost. Your life force is precious. Your vision is precise. Your timing matters. The warning here is not punishment. It is protection. Protection of your momentum, of your creativity, of the part of you that is finally ready to move forward without carrying extra weight. And here is the healing truth. You do not need to rescue anyone to be worthy of love. You do not need to stay to prove your depth. You do not need to suffer to validate your compassion. Sometimes the most loving act is choosing not to merge with what is still unresolved. Let that land. Without guilt, without urgency, there is a lighter path forming ahead of you. It does not require explanation, only honesty. Stay here with me. What comes next will feel like relief. Aquarius, let the pace soften here. This part of the story does not rush you. It meets you where you are now, with everything you have already lived. There is a quieter kind of wisdom that arrives later in life. It does not sparkle the way intensity does. It does not chase your adrenaline or stir old wounds just to feel alive. Simply stands there. Present. Uncomplicated. And for someone like you, that can feel unfamiliar at first. You have always been drawn to depth, to minds that wander far, to souls that feel layered, complex, unfinished in interesting ways. For years, intensity felt like proof. Proof of meaning. Proof that something mattered. But something shifts after a certain age, not suddenly, not loudly. It shifts quietly, the way seasons do. You begin to notice how much energy it takes to sustain drama, how much emotional bandwidth complexity requires, how often excitement comes paired with uncertainty, and you start craving something else, not boring, not shallow, but grounded. Here is the truth that does not get enough airtime. Love that lasts does not demand constant emotional translation. It does not require you to decode silences or fill in gaps. Availability is not flashy. It does not create chaos just to feel connection. It shows up when it says it will. It speaks clearly. It has room for you. Anyone can make your heart race. That is easy. What is rare is someone whose life has space. Space for consistency. For growth that moves forward, not sideways. For plans that do not collapse under the weight of unfinished business. And this is where maturity lives. Not in choosing the most exciting story, but in choosing the one that does not fracture your future. You are not becoming less romantic. You are becoming more discerning. You are learning the difference between chemistry and compatibility, between emotional depth and emotional availability, between intensity and intimacy. Ask yourself something gently, without judgment. When you imagine building a life with someone, do you feel calm or do you feel alert? One of those states allows you to expand. The other keeps you bracing. Maturity does not dull your love. It protects it. It teaches you that love does not have to feel like a project. That connection does not have to come with hidden costs. That peace is not the absence of passion, but the presence of safety. You have already done the work of becoming self-aware. You have questioned yourself deeply. You have healed layers most people never touch. Now the lesson is simpler, but not easier. You no longer need to prove how much you can tolerate. You get to choose how well you are treated. There is power in wanting someone who is ready. Ready emotionally, ready practically, ready to meet you without conditions. This is not settling. This is alignment. And alignment feels different. It does not shake the ground beneath you. It steadies it. If part of you is resisting this idea, that is okay. Growth always asks us to release an old identity. The one who loves deeply without limits. The one who understands everyone. The one who waits. You are allowed to outgrow that role. Stay with this feeling for a moment. There is something ahead that feels lighter than what you have known. And it begins with the way you define love now. Aquarius, stay with me here. There is a softer shift happening now. Not dramatic, not loud, but it begins the moment you stop leaning forward, the moment you do not explain, do not justify, do not overextend your energy to keep something alive. There is a strange relief in that pause, almost unsettling at first, because you are used to movement being forced, used to momentum coming from effort, from pushing, from holding space for things that are not yet ready. But when you step back, even slightly, something surprising occurs. The world responds. Not immediately, not with fireworks, but with subtle confirmations. A message arrives without you chasing it. A door opens where there was only silence. Your body feels calmer in the morning. Your thoughts slow down enough to hear yourself again. That is how alignment announces itself. Quietly, gently, without asking you to prove anything. Distance in this season of your life is not avoidance. It is discernment. You are not running away from connection. You are returning to yourself. And the more space you reclaim, the more your energy stabilizes. You sleep deeper. You breathe fuller. You stop rehearsing conversations that never quite resolve. Have you noticed how your creativity starts to return when you are no longer emotionally occupied? How ideas flow again? How motivation shows up without pressure? That is not coincidence. You were never meant to carry someone else's unresolved weight. Your soul is designed to innovate, to imagine, to see beyond the obvious. Not to manage emotional debris that is not yours. Walking away does not mean you failed. It means you finally listened. And here is something rarely said out loud. What leaves your life now is not being taken from you. It is being cleared. Cleared so something lighter can enter, something honest, something that does not ask you to shrink your future to fit their present. Alignment feels like relief before it feels like joy, because your nervous system has to unlearn tension first. You might feel empty for a moment. That quiet can feel unfamiliar, even lonely, but that space is sacred. It is the pause between chapters, the inhale before something new takes shape. Ask yourself this gently. When you imagine the person meant to walk beside you, do they add weight or remove it? The right connection will not compete with your purpose. It will support it. They will not need you to translate their silence. They will speak clearly. They will show up whole. You are not late. You are not behind. You are right on time for a different kind of love, one that meets you without conditions, one that does not arrive carrying unfinished stories. And until that arrives, your alignment is enough. The moment you chose distance, you chose truth. The moment you paused, you honored your future. Stay here in this clarity for a bit. Let it settle. Because something is already rearranging behind the scenes. And what comes next will feel lighter than anything you had to survive. Aquarius, let everything soften now. There is nothing left to figure out in this moment, no decision to force, no proof to give. Just a quiet recognition settling into your chest. Some connections arrive like open doors. Others arrive like mirrors, not meant to be entered, but meant to be seen. And when you finally see them clearly, something loosens inside you. The tension you learned to live with begins to dissolve. The waiting stops feeling noble. The confusion no longer feels romantic. This is where wisdom lives. Not in judgment, not in regret, but in discernment. You are not cold for choosing distance. You are not selfish for choosing peace. You are not afraid for walking away from what feels heavy. You are awake. Not every soul who crosses your path is meant to walk beside you. Some are meant to remind you of what you have already outgrown. Some appear to test whether you will abandon yourself for familiarity. And this time, you did not. That matters more than you know. Because every moment you choose clarity, your life responds. Your nervous system relaxes. Your intuition sharpens. Your future stops waiting for you to catch up. There is a certain kind of self-respect that changes everything. It does not announce itself. It does not demand validation. It simply adjusts your standards quietly. And suddenly, what once felt irresistible no longer fits. Peace becomes non-negotiable. Confusion feels unnecessary. And emotional availability becomes the bare minimum, not a luxury. Ask yourself something gently, without pressure. Does this connection move you forward, or keep you circling the same questions? Your soul already knows the answer. It always has. The universe does not block your path to punish you. It slows you down to protect what is ahead. Every delay you felt was guidance. Every pause was an intervention. Every unanswered question was a redirection. You were being guided away from something that would have cost you more than it gave, and toward something quieter, clearer, more aligned with who you are now. Release does not mean erasing the past. It means no longer letting it decide your future. You can hold gratitude without staying. You can honor a lesson without repeating it. You can love deeply without sacrificing yourself. That is growth. And growth does not feel like fireworks. It feels like calm certainty, like standing firmly inside your own life. You are allowed to choose relationships that do not interrupt your peace. You are allowed to want someone who arrives whole. You are allowed to believe that ease is part of love. Nothing meant for you will require you to betray yourself. So breathe here for a moment. Let the clarity settle into your body. Let the old weight fall away. Because the future that is reaching for you is lighter than anything you had to survive. And it begins with the choice you are making now. Stay open. Stay grounded. And trust that choosing yourself is never a mistake. Aquarius, before you go anywhere else tonight, let this land. You did not come across this message by accident. Something in you was already listening, already ready to stop negotiating with confusion, ready to stop carrying what was never yours to hold, ready to choose clarity without apology. That shift you feel right now, the calm that replaced the question marks, that is alignment settling into your body. And alignment does not rush, it anchors. If this message met you at the right moment, leave a word in the comments. Just one. Anything that reflects where you are now. Not for me. For you. For the version of you that chose awareness today. And if this space feels safe, if it feels like somewhere you can breathe and remember who you are, stay with us. Subscribe. Not out of habit, but as a quiet promise to yourself that you will keep choosing clarity over chaos. The Aquarius path is not about following crowds. It is about trusting your inner signal, even when it asks you to walk alone for a while. You are not behind. You are not missing out. You are arriving. There is another message already forming. One that speaks about what opens when you stop settling. One that meets you where strength and softness finally coexist. So take this moment with you, carry it gently, let it guide your next choice. And remember this, always. What is meant for you will never ask you to lose yourself to receive it. Trust yourself. We will meet again soon. The journey is still unfolding. Milky Way,